Hello, vinyl community. This is Randy. Back today with another video. Happy Hippie, the vinyl guy, has nominated me to respond to a thread that was created by Jason at Spins Vinyl. Spins Vinyl, S-P-I-N-Z Vinyl. That's a channel that was new to me. I hadn't heard of that channel before, but I did. I've watched one of his videos now. I watched the video that Jason is the guy that spins vinyl. Jason made this video where he started this thread where he asked people to name one record for each decade. So I'm trying to think of have a name. It was like the Decades Challenge or something. I'm not really sure what the name of it is, but it's a thread where, yeah, he just wants us to show one record from each decade. So I watched his video. It was very good. And so, of course, Rod responded to that too. So I watched Rod's video. So I was thinking about records that I could show. So I figured I would try to show you one jazz guitar record for each decade. So this is not necessarily my favorite record overall for that whole decade. I mean, I've seen a couple of these, and probably some of my favorites would be the same as the ones I've already seen. So I'm going to show you one jazz guitar record for each decade, starting with the 1950s. Moonlight in Vermont, Johnny Smith Quintet. This is a record that was recorded in 1956. Johnny Smith is a jazz guitarist. I love the album cover. This is one of my favorite album covers ever. So Johnny had his quintet, which you can see listed there. Stan Getz sits in on this record too. And Zoot Sims also plays on this record. So Moonlight in Vermont. Beautiful jazz guitar on the album cover. It says Roost. Up here at the top, it says Roost. Right there. It says Roost Records. But on the label itself, it says Royal Roost. So I never really figured that out exactly, but either way, that's what the label looks like. It's on a beautiful blue label. Johnny Smith, fantastic guitar player. He had a Gibson model guitar, I guess throughout the 60s. Yeah. Al Caiola, 1966. Al Caiola. Another jazz guitarist. Al Caiola, I think, was well known for, I think he did a lot of work on in movies and TV and stuff like that. But in 1964, he recorded an album called Tough Guitar. And I guess that must have been pretty successful because then he made a series of other albums. And so this is called Tough Guitar Tijuana Style. I guess Herb Alpert had that huge album, Whipped Cream and Other Lies, which had the, Tijuana Taxi. Well, maybe Tijuana Taxi wasn't on that album. Maybe it was on a different album. Either way, Tijuana Taxi, I guess, was a huge hit. So, yeah, Tough Guitar Tijuana Style. So this is what we're hearing right now. Right now we're hearing The Shadow of Your Smile. Al Caiola. Yeah, so I can't show you that record. And 1976, Jeff Beck recorded Wired. I guess this is sort of like jazz rock fusion, not strictly jazz. But there's a lot more jazz than most of the other music I was listening to at that time. It kind of surprised me. I didn't know what to think about it. I thought it was going to be much more of a rock and roll album when I first brought it home, and it turned out to be very jazz oriented. Took me a while to get used to it, but now it's, it's one of my favorite records ever, I think. Jeff Beck playing that black Les Paul there. On the front cover, he's playing that white Stratocaster. Such a fantastic album. Starts out with Lead Boots. Has Goodbye Pork Pie Hat, Charlie Mingus song on it. Blue Wind, I think, is maybe one of the highlights of the album. Come Dancing, fantastic album. The whole thing is really fantastic. Check back. 1976 for that. This is I think this is a 1980s reissue. It's on Epic Records. In 1982, Joe Pass released this album called the Joe Pass Trio. Well, the name of the album is Eximius. Joe Pass Trio. Joe Pass Trio consists of Joe on guitar, Martin Drew on drums, and Niels Henning Worsted Peterson on bass. Niels Henning Worsted Peterson. Fantastic bass player. I saw him in a recent video playing bass for Sonny Rollins. Just outstanding. Really, really good. There he is. Right there. And there's the drummer, Martin Drew, down there in the bottom. So Eximius, 1982 for Joe Pass, jazz guitarist. And Pablo Records. This record's I usually think of Pablo as having those black and white album covers. This one has just that one single color in addition to the black and white. Joe Pass. I should have gotten it out. I have a fantastic CD of Joe Pass playing guitar with Ella Fitzgerald singing. He's accompanying Ella Fitzgerald. I think it's just the two of them. It's really, it's fantastic. Mundell Lowe recorded this album in 1958, but it was re-released in 1992 on Original Jazz Classics. Originally released on Riverside Records, 1958. OJC re-released it in 1991. 1955 for Riverside on this one. 55 for Riverside reissue. I don't have a record from the 90s, a jazz guitar album from the 90s that was recorded and released in the 90s. So, showing you Mundell Lowe from Riverside Records. I do have this CD of Bucky and John Pizzarelli. This was recorded in 1990s. I think it's 1998 for this one. Bucky and John Pizzarelli. So, Bucky's the dad, John Pizzarelli is the son. I guess Bucky had a long career as a jazz guitarist, and his son John, no pictures in there, is all his writing. His son followed in his footsteps, so they recorded this album together. It's really, really good. It starts out with Three Little Words. They play both electric and acoustic guitars on this record. Contrast is the name of that album. The Trio of Doom. In 2008, the Trio of Doom released this album that was recorded in 1979. Trio of Doom is John McLaughlin, Jaco Pastorius, Tony Williams. Tony Williams on drums, Jaco Pastorius playing bass, John McLaughlin guitar player. Recorded this at a music festival there in Cuba, but it was never released until 1992. So this, sorry, until 2008. So this is my choice for the aughts. Some cool pictures of all three of them, and there's a lot of, it tells the whole story of how they came to play down there in Cuba. Here's some great pictures. I really like these pictures because I think the pictures really capture the record. I think they look like in the pictures like they're really going full steam, like they're really going at it, and that's what they're doing for the whole 40 minutes on this record. It's just full steam ahead, no let up. Really very good. This custom label. Gosh, what was the? I guess it's a Sony. Sony is the record label. Sony Legacy. Okay. Yeah. So, Trio of Doom. In 2016, Steve Kemmock released this album. Last Danger of Frost. This is an instrumental. This one is maybe not so much jazz, a little bit more leans towards experimental, but you could maybe call it jazz, I guess, if you wanted to. So Steve Kimlock, I knew him as a guitarist. He used to play for Zero. He used to play in San Francisco when I lived out in the Bay Area in the 1990s. Zero was an excellent band. He was a guitarist. Martin Fierro played sax for that band. It's a cool album cover. I think this is supposed to be the barn where he recorded this album. I think he moved back to Pennsylvania there at some point in the 21st century here. Now he lives in Pennsylvania. Shows this, I don't know if that's supposed to be like a river of guitars flowing past his barn. I guess that's what that is. Cool artwork on that one. Steve Kimlock, Last Danger of Frost. There's Steve. I think he pretty much did everything on this record by himself. Yeah, let's see. It's on. It's custom label. Last Danger of Frost. And for the 2020s and 2020, Pat Metheny released this album, From This Place. He has a small band that he plays with, but this also has some orchestration. There's an orchestra playing behind him on a lot of this record. $20.20 for this one. Okay, with this insert. Yeah. There's a label. Also a custom label on this one too. Yep. So there's the Decades Challenge for you. One jazz guitar record for each decade since the 1950s. So, yeah, so thanks for nominating me, Rod. This was a good exercise for me to try and come up with one for each decade. 90s gave me a little bit of a problem, but we can go with the Pizzarellis for that. So, anyway, thanks, Jason, also for coming up with the idea. And I think this thread's open to anybody who wants to jump in. And I don't think you have to do any certain number of decades. I think Jason said in his video that if you only have records from 3 decades, just show your favorite records from those 3 decades. Or, I guess you come up with a theme, or you pretty much do whatever you want, I think. So anyway, I hope everybody's doing well, and let me know what you think about these records. And thanks for watching.